All right, so today we're going deep inside the MrBeast empire. Not just the challenges and the crazy cash he throws around, but like the actual production machine behind all of it. We got our hands on this leaked document, How-To-Succeed-At-MrBeast-Production.pdf. It's basically a masterclass in building a YouTube empire from the ground up.
You know, it's so true. We're always focused on like the spectacle of MrBeast.
Yeah.
But this document really gives you a peek behind the curtain. You start to see the strategy, the planning, like the sheer amount of work that goes into each video.
Yeah, it's wild, right? You'd think it's all just fun and games. But this guy, MrBeast, he spent years dissecting YouTube. He's not relying on gut feelings or anything. He's using data to figure out what makes videos go viral.
Absolutely. And he's really clear about the three metrics that matter most to him. CTR, so click-through rate.
Yeah.
AVD, average view duration. And AVP, average percentage viewed. And each one kind of tells a different story. And MrBeast uses them like a roadmap to YouTube success.
Okay, so for our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with all the YouTube lingo, let's break those down a little bit. First up, CTR, click-through rate, what's that all about?
That's really about capturing attention right away. You know your title, your thumbnail. They need to be compelling enough to make somebody stop scrolling and click on your video.
So it's not just about being flashy or clickbaity. It's got to actually set expectations and make people want to watch. But then you got to keep them watching. That's where AVD comes in, right?
Right. Average view duration that measures how long people actually stick around.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where MrBeast gets really strategic. He analyzes those retention graphs, which kind of show viewer engagement over time, almost like a video's heartbeat. You can see exactly when people are dropping off.
Whoa, that's so interesting. So it's like he's using data to figure out the perfect pacing for his videos.
Precisely. He breaks the video down into key segments, and then he focuses on optimizing each one. Like that first minute is absolutely crucial. That's where you have the highest drop-off rate. You have to hook the viewer immediately.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like the first couple pages of a book.
Exactly.
That they need to be pulled in right away.
Exactly. And then from minutes 1 to 3, you're transitioning from that initial hype to actually delivering on what you promised. And right around that 3-minute mark, often he'll introduce something spectacular, something to re-engage the viewer, something that you just wouldn't see anywhere else.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the method, the madness here. It's not just random stuff happening. It's a really calculated approach to keeping the audience hooked. But what about the rest of the video? How does he keep people engaged all the way through?
Well, he talks about that back half content needed to keep people engaged even in those lulls, where the action might slow down a bit. And that's where AVP comes in, average percentage viewed.
Yeah.
Which is more about the overall length of the video and how much of it people actually watch.
I bet those retention graphs are like gold to him. He can actually see what's working and what's not.
He actually shares some examples in the document. He compares the retention graphs of a video with 120 million views to one with 45 million views, both the same length. And the difference is stark. The one with the higher AVD and AVP clearly resonated more with the audience.
So it's not just about views, it's about how much viewers are actually enjoying it and watching till the end. That's some next level insight.
This data-driven approach, it really sets MrBeast apart. You know, he's not just guessing, he's analyzing every single aspect to understand what works and then using that knowledge to create even better content.
It's like he's cracked the code of YouTube. Okay, so we've talked about the metrics, but how does this actually translate to like his production philosophy? What's it actually like working on a MrBeast video?
Well, let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. He has a very specific, no-nonsense approach to getting things done. And it all starts with his A-player philosophy.
A-player philosophy. That sounds intense. What's the deal with that?
He's super focused on results, not just effort. There's actually this great story in the document about his production manager, James Warren, who solved a problem in like 30 minutes that a whole team had been struggling with for a week.
So it's not about clocking in the hours, it's about getting it done. I like that.
Yeah, and that's where that A-player, B-player, C-player thing comes in. The A-players, those are like the rock stars, the ones who go above and beyond, constantly learning, pushing boundaries. B-players, they have potential but need guidance to become A-players. And then C-players, well, MrBeast's pretty blunt. He calls them poisonous. Says they have no place in this company.
Wow, he doesn't sugarcoat it. But I mean, I get it. If you're trying to build a YouTube empire, you need a team that's completely dedicated to excellence.
Yeah, mediocrity won't cut it. He wants people who are passionate, driven, obsessed with creating the best possible content.
So like, what are some of the specific things he tells his team to do? Give us the goods.
One big thing is video everything. And I don't just mean for archival purposes. He wants his team to document everything they're doing. every step of the process. It creates transparency, fosters better problem solving, makes sure everyone's on the same page.
So it's not about micromanaging, it's about making sure everyone understands the big picture.
Exactly. And he's also a big believer in saying the negatives. Honesty is crucial in his world. He wants people to be upfront about challenges, potential problems. No sugarcoating allowed.
So it's like a culture of open communication where people feel comfortable flagging issues early on.
Absolutely. And my favorite piece of advice from the document is, it's your fault.
Whoa. Okay. This one sounds intense.
It's all about taking ownership, being accountable for your work, leaving absolutely no room for error.
That sounds like a high-pressure environment.
But when you're aiming for the level of success that MrBeast has, there's no room for complacency. He talks about tracking contractors closely, not just handing off tasks and hoping for the best.
So it's very hands-on, even at his level.
Exactly. But it's not all about blindly following orders either. He actually encourages his team to challenge him, but not with vague questions or complaints. He says, I am not always right. But if you want to change his mind, come prepared.
So come with solutions, not just problems.
Right. Well-researched options. A clear understanding of the context.
Respect the man's time. Back up your ideas with data and evidence, just like he does.
Exactly. And that it's not enough to just have a good idea. You need to understand how it fits into the bigger picture. He talks about identifying critical components, the elements that are absolutely essential to a video success.
So for the I opened a free bank video, the critical component would be having an actual bank filled with money.
Exactly. No bank, no video. Those crucial elements need to be locked down no matter what. He talks about backup plans, meticulous attention to detail when it comes to those components, and then clear communication lines.
So everyone knows their role and how to communicate effectively.
Right. Well-defined hierarchies, clear protocols, all about avoiding confusion and wasted effort.
It's like a well-oiled machine. But even with all this planning and structure, there's still room for creativity, right?
Absolutely. One of his core principles is creativity saves money. He challenges his team to find innovative solutions instead of always throwing money at problems.
I love that. Like that time he offered a year's supply of Doritos as a prize instead of $20,000. So much funnier, more memorable, way cheaper.
Exactly. It's about thinking outside the box. And then to minimize risk, especially when dealing with these complex shoots, he's adamant about having backup days. He also warns against taking things at face value. He wants his team to dig deeper, do their due diligence, especially when working with external partners.
So fact check everything, verify information, don't just blindly trust. That makes sense when you're dealing with these kinds of productions. So all this attention to detail is impressive, but at the end of the day, it's the content that matters most, right?
Absolutely. For MrBeast, content is king. It drives everything they do. And what's fascinating is how he defines good content. He's really straightforward about it, actually. It needs to excite him personally. He believes that if he's not genuinely passionate about the idea, that enthusiasm, it's not going to translate to the viewer.
Makes sense. I mean, you can tell when somebody's phoning it in, right?
Totally. And he's not just looking for any old excitement either. We're talking MrBeast here. This is the king of pushing boundaries.
Right. How does he define that next level, that wow factor?
He's constantly trying to create those moments that people remember. The stuff you wouldn't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like in that 100 Days in a Circle video.
Yeah.
When he brings in the contestant's house on a crane. 30 seconds into the video.
That's insane. Only MrBeast would do that.
Exactly.
But it can't all be explosions and spectacle, right? There needs to be some substance, too.
Oh, absolutely. He really emphasizes simplicity and good storytelling, especially when you're trying to reach a global audience like he is.
So how do you balance that, the over-the-top stuff with making it relatable?
He actually uses this funny example in the document. He talks about a baby doll.
The baby doll.
Yeah. He says that even something that simple can be the starting point for endless creative possibilities.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's all about finding that core idea, that hook, and then building on it in unexpected ways.
So simple ideas, but big execution. And of course, he's always checking those metrics, right? Making sure people are actually watching.
AVD and AVP, they're his guiding stars.
Right, those are key. And speaking of keeping people hooked, let's talk about those classic MrBeast formats, the last to leave challenges. Those things are gold.
Well, they're brilliant. All about that anticipation.
And slowly upping the stakes.
He calls it stair-stepping.
Stair-stepping.
Like in I Bought the World's Largest Firework. You start small, then work your way up to that grand finale.
So smart. Keep them on the edge of their seats the whole time. But he doesn't just rely on the same old formulas, right?
No, he's always trying to keep things fresh. He knows viewers get bored easily,
especially his core audience, those teenage gamers.
They're a tough crowd.
But it's amazing how he's managed to build this huge following that goes way beyond just gamers.
He's got that broad appeal.
And you know what else is crazy? Even his brand deals are entertaining.
I know. It's like they're part of the show.
It's not like those annoying ads you see everywhere else.
He's very intentional about how he integrates them, like they're part of the story.
And they're actually effective, too. He shows the data in the document, comparing his brand deals to traditional ones.
And it's not even close.
He even mentions a CEO saying the ROI of one of his brand deals was like 1.7 times higher than his Super Bowl ad.
That's insane.
That's a whole new level of brand partnership.
He really understands the power of understanding culture, too. He talks about it in the document. He wants his team to be tapped into the trends, the memes, everything.
So it's staying relevant.
Yeah. Like he's his Chris Tyson as an example, saying how Chris watches tons of cartoons and stuff.
To keep his comedic sense sharp.
Exactly. You got to have those diverse inputs.
So it's about being funny, but also being relevant.
And that authenticity, that's a big part of it, too. It's like, and he encourages everyone to just be themselves.
He actually says it's okay for the boys to be childish. I love that.
It's all about those genuine reactions.
No faking it a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real emotions, real stakes.
Intensity, you can't just manufacture.
He says you can't fake intensity in videos.
And you can tell, right? It's what makes his videos so compelling.
And then he ends the document with a hint of what's to come. More teams, more channels, even bigger content.
So he's just getting started.
It sounds like it.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. It's amazing to see the strategy and the work ethic behind this whole empire.
It's inspiring to see what's possible when you combine talent, hard work, and a deep understanding of your audience.
So what can our listeners learn from all this? What can they take away and apply to their own lives?
Well, if Mr. Beast is willing to share this much information, imagine what else he's capable of. It's really exciting to think about the possibilities.
We'll leave you with this. What can you learn from Mr. Beast? How can you apply his principles to your own work, your own creative pursuits?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Mr. Beast Productions.